So much everyone for joining in. My name is Manish Bhatia and I am the founder of the Trainer Network TNW. Trainer Network TNW is India's #1 web directory for trainers and coaches who have uploaded their profiles onto the website for an added visibility in front of the prospective organizations. This is one side of the story. The other side of is that there are people from HR and L&D who are also a part of TNW registered members who are looking at the profile of different trainers and coaches as per their requirements. Today we are talking about creating transformation with art in coaching. Now that's a long title. Aditi chose that title. Because the length of the title also says that there is so much to discuss within this topic. It is going to be a vast topic. I'm sure it is going to be an interesting topic. So, friends, please welcome Aditi Malhotra, who is a life coach, a trainer, author, and a storyteller. And she uses different forms of art to create transformation, which can impact your personal as well as professional lives. Over to you, Aditi. Thank you so much for joining in.
Hi, thank you so much, Manish. And yes, I hope that this turns out to be an interesting session that ends with all of us taking something back with us to explore, to think about, and maybe add to our own lives, right? Whether we are coaches or not. I hope to, have a session that's centered around a great takeaway. Yeah. So thank you, Manish.
Right. Thank you so much. Aditi, just before we start, there is some disturbance in your volume, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, just check that
Is
so
this
that
better?
yeah, it is. To me it is, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there was some disturbance, interference maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people are joining in. Just I think we can start with the discussion now, Aditi. So Aditi,
Sure. Let's go ahead.
let,
Yeah.
let's talk about the art, using the forms of art to create transformation. Okay. Now this is, as I earlier said, that this is an interesting headline. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the
Yeah.
topic has to be very interesting, and I'm sure it is going to benefit a lot of people who are listening to us here on Zoom
Yeah.
as well as on Facebook Live. So my
Right.
first question to you, Aditi, is
Hmm.
transformation and change
Yeah.
confused interchangeably.
Right.
Being transformed is definitely change.
Hmm.
Vice versa is not true. What are
Right.
your thoughts on this?
I agree. Absolutely. And I think we do end up using change and transformation interchangeably. The definition might be very similar as well. And the feel with both these words might be very similar as well.
Aditi,
But
Aditi,
there's
sorry,
definitely
Aditi, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, there was again some interference. I was not able to hear you properly. Guys, please message in the chat box if you are if the voice is clear, so that she
Let
can.
me try headphones also, Manish.
Yeah,
Maybe that helps.
please. Yes, yeah.
Just give me 1 second. Uh, are you able to hear me clearly without any interference?
Yeah, this was good. Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
So apologies, everyone. I think we should have done this earlier as well.
Thank you.
But
Yes. Please continue. You want me to repeat the question, or is it okay?
no, I'm good with it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So of course, they are used interchangeably. Should they? I don't think so. I think, transformation is a huger, bigger umbrella, and
Right.
change is a subset of it, if I were to put it like that. Change could be temporary. Transformation, I believe, is permanent.
Okay.
There is no going back from transformation. From change, you could backslide. There's always a chance. And I think there are multiple steps of multiple changes that go on to create transformation in one's life. Yeah. So I think,
Mhm.
I see it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what is, I mean, if you have to give me one example of change versus transformation, what would that be? You said that change is very, very temporary or shorter period of time, kind of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. I think it's a sub-step towards transformation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could be changing one action that you undertake every day towards changing a bigger. Can I request everyone to be on mute? I think
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
some
I
background
have
noise.
done that. I've done that. Don't worry. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was that change could be pertaining to one action that we, decide to do away with or we modify. And transformation is a bigger behavior, and change could be leading up to, our behavior being transformed completely.
Okay.
So maybe let's say I'm somebody who procrastinates a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. For example.
Yeah.
And I'd like to change that because I see a very definite impact in my everyday work and personal situation. Right now, that is a transformation that I wish to bring about. But to be able to bring about that transformation, what are those everyday changes, actions that I need to start, or things that I need to start doing differently? Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Great, great. That is good. You know that from change, as you said, that change is the subset of the bigger umbrella, which is transformation. Everything
Right.
starts with a smaller change. That's the smaller step, I would,
Absolutely.
right? And then you go on to the bigger.
Absolutely.
Perfect, perfect. So,
Yeah.
would you call this as?
In fact, Manish,
Yeah.
in fact, when we talk about change, like you said, everything starts with change. The first change has to be within us. When we're
Within
looking
us.
at any sort of transformation in our own life, right? If I'm not committed to that, if I'm not determined, then no matter what, no matter who I speak to, that's not going to happen. Maybe a temporary change happens, but that transformation is not going to happen.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Absolutely. Okay. So I was researching about the topic. I am not a life coach, as everyone probably knows here. I'm a mindfulness trainer, but
Mm,
when I was researching, I came across a term called
mm.
transactional coaching and transformational coaching. Now,
Okay.
how do you differentiate between these two? What are these
Right.
terms?
Interesting. So first, I want to put it out there. I know that there is transactional coaching, or people talk about transactional coaching, and there is transformational as well. But, and this is purely my understanding,
Okay.
if coaching has to be effective, if it is holistic, then there is no way that it can't be transformational at the end of the day, right?
Okay.
I think going back to our first question, where we're talking about change and transformation, I think transactional coaching could be, sometimes it could be very for an immediate thing that you need to resolve, or a short-term thing. And transformational coaching really targets what is the underlying cause, or it is more long term. So instances of transactional coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For example, if I'm unable to communicate on a particular issue with my boss, right, and that's obviously impacting my everyday mindset at work, it's impacting my performance at work, it's giving me unnecessary undue stress or tension, that's something that I want to get addressed right away, right? So
Right.
my question to you as a coach would be, what could you do differently in your everyday workspace so that you're able to share what's on your mind? Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at it from a transformational perspective, then I would want to ask you, in the process,
Mm.
what are things that we could do to prevent something like this from happening in future situations as well? Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
one is targeting an immediate challenge, and the other really looks at, what's the larger picture. And I don't just, look at what's on the surface, but I go deep within.
True. I think that's right. Yeah. So I could make out what exactly transactional coaching and the difference between the transformational and transactional coaching. But there are people, Aditi, who for example, if someone has a perceived tendency of kind of contemplation and overthinking, which they also know that is likely to affect their decision making. As a coach, what would be your strategy? How would you handle such a person?
Okay. So I'm a disclaimer before I answer this question, because coaching is never a one conversation process, right? Not every coaching session, the outcome would have 3 or 5 things that I can do, right? Sometimes it's about clarifying, and the whole session or whole conversation is about clarifying. And there are multiple conversations that lead you up to a particular solution. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just putting it out there, because we shouldn't assess a coaching conversation based on like a limited conversation that we're having today, right? So I think the first goal here, when we are talking about a perceived tendency, if I remember that correctly, right,
Correct.
in your
Yes,
question,
perceived tendency,
is to clarify and to understand whose perception is it that we're talking about.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it my perception, or is it somebody else that has given me feedback?
Yeah.
Now that feedback, if it has come to me, is it based in fact, or is it just sometimes, opinions are thrown at us? Correct. And we are asked to consider it as feedback. So the first and the most important thing is for us to understand, for us to clarify. The second thing would be, Manish, does the person who's come for that coaching, does that person really agree with what they're sharing, that they overthink, or they're constantly contemplating, and they possibly take too long, or decisions don't get made, whatever the case might be. Do they even agree with it? Because we started our conversation and I said the first change has to be from within.
Correct.
Yeah. Do I believe this? Do I agree with it? Am I committed to change this about myself? Do I even see an impact?
Right.
And this also helps a coach understand how committed is the other person. And like I said, if the client or the coach is not committed, the whole coaching process will fall like a house of cards.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah? Agreed.
And then, it's important to understand that this belief, if it is their own, so again, 2 sets of conversations would really happen based on whose perception it is really. But what are the facts, or what is the impact that they see in their everyday that supports this belief that they've formed about themselves? Right. And then identifying what is it that they can do about it, because in any given situation there will be things that we can control, there are things that we can't control, right? So it's important to identify what is controllable, what is doable, what is very realistic. Yeah. And understanding what does the situation look like right now in terms of impact, in terms of, whether it's on decision making, therefore impact at work. Does it also spill into somebody's personal life, and then what is the impact in the personal life, because they're unable to decide, right? And what is the change that they want to progress towards? Yeah. So, like very broadly, these are the first few things that one would sit down and do with someone that wants to change this particular behavior about themselves.
Right. You mentioned, Aditi, that, the opinions are thrown at us.
Sometimes.
Which is, I think, no, I mean, I would, kind of disagree on to that sometimes, right? But it is most of the time, most often, that opinions are thrown at us. And if the mindset is not clearly strengthened, you tend to take those, or tend to believe those, opinions about yourself. Right. You are not confident about yourself, and that is why you believe all that and start thinking on to that. And that is why I mentioned perceived thinking. Now, perceived thinking is because of someone else, probably, right? It can be your inner thing also, but you are also right
Right.
that is that, the change has to start from within. If the
Yeah.
person does not want to change,
Hmm.
uh, okay, I'll come to another question onto this, related to this. Have you ever encountered somebody who is not
Who
willing to
doesn't want to
change?
change?
Sorry, who is not willing?
Absolutely.
Is it?
Ab-
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe not willing to change about that one particular thing. Yeah. Therefore, we say that coaching as a process is not about me,
Hmm,
what I think you should change. It isn't about what I think. It's about what you think. It's about what matters and values the most, is of the most value to you. Right.
hmm.
So yes, the initial few sessions, like I said, coaching is, it is transformation, but it doesn't take, just 1 hour for all
Correct.
of that to happen. It's a process.
Yeah,
So the first few sessions also help us clarify, help the client clarify, or the coachee, if I may call them,
yeah,
what is it that they really want. So I'll give you an example.
yeah.
Um, there was a leader that I was coaching a while ago
Hmm,
who
hmm.
came in saying, I'm at a career crossroads. And it wasn't because of anything bad, but he said, I'm not sure how I want to progress from, having achieved whatever I've achieved. And
Yeah,
I think I set a goal, I've achieved that goal. And I think I've, sort of within the organization, I've grown, I've done it all. And he said, I'm at a career crossroads. But as our conversations happened, one aspect, of course, was that what steps does he want to take for, his career to be more fulfilling, right?
yeah.
But what also emerged was that he was completely dissatisfied with how he communicated with people at work, how he
Okay.
communicated with people in his family, how he was in social situation, and how all of that collectively was impacting him at work as well, and was leading to frustration despite being an excellent performer. And he said, what you're looking at is on the surface, or what you come and tell me,
Okay.
right? But in conversations, we're able to explore what is the crux of what's stopping you from being your best self.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I actually missed some part in between because I believe that your connection was not right. So I missed one sentence in between. I was trying to stop you, but I couldn't do
Okay.
that. But
No
it's okay.
worries.
But
No
yes,
worries.
I got the gist of it. Yes, of course. Yes, I got the gist of
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm sure others also would have got the gist of it. So let
Mm-hmm.
us let us. I would want to stop here. Okay, for a while.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I would want to I would want the audience to ask some questions related to whatever we have discussed up till now. Is there any
Sure.
question that you want to ask Aditi? Anyone, please. JP sir,
Okay,
you
so
are also
Sandeep,
there,
your
please.
voice is clear for them. Thank you for clarifying, Yogita.
Anyone? Okay. So I go ahead with my questions then.
Is that a good sign or a bad sign that there are no questions?
No, both ways, both ways. No, this can be a
Hmm.
perceived notion also, right?
Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
good one, Manish. Yeah.
So okay, Aditi.
Yes.
If I have to ask you of an example of a person, who comes to you for
Mm-hmm.
coaching, what are the
Yeah.
reasons or situations that result in a
Okay.
visit to a transformation coach, specifically a transformation coach
Hmm.
like you?
So, so okay. So, if I were to just share that in one short sentence, I would say anybody that has an internal mind tangle can come to a coach.
Okay,
Yeah. Now, the tangle doesn't necessarily have to be in a challenge, because I think perceived, since we are talking about perceived,
correct.
the perception around coaching is that I only go to a coach if there's something horribly wrong in my life. Yeah.
Hmm, hmm.
That's not the case. Yeah. Like I was sharing this example of an immensely successful leader who wanted to understand, now what. Another similar leader that I've coached, again had hit the pinnacle, but wanted to ensure that, he doesn't, for the lack of a better word, get laid back about it. From here to the next, how does he take it further? So some of those conversations, or it could be a communication challenge that you're unable to communicate your thoughts, your
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
Or it could be a communication tangle at work. It could be, team dynamics that are not sitting very well at work. You've lost your job. I've had, especially during the pandemic, there have been a fair few clients who've, lost jobs, and it's really hit their confidence with them questioning that, am I talented?
Correct. Correct.
It's gone to some,
To that
to
extent.
those levels as well in some cases. Yes, absolutely. It could be parents who are really trying to, and I'm sure if there are parents in the audience, we'll relate with this, that
Correct.
sometimes this whole parenting thing, we don't know how to deal with it. Yeah. So it could be parents, it could be students, it could be somebody that's facing a lot of challenges connecting with people around them, in school and college, right? Anybody that feels that they're not growing personally or professionally because they have a very deep-seated limiting belief or a limiting behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the list is just endless. The only clients that come to us if they're displaying symptoms of a medical condition, which a counselor or a therapist can address better,
Correct.
then we are obligated as coaches to request them or share details of a counselor
Yeah.
with them so that they're able to seek the help that they really need. So
Hmm.
not everything can be coached, if I may say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So that is good. Yeah. So I have a question from, or rather a feedback from Yogita. She says, when are we going to talk about art, the real topic? So we heard you. That was my next question to Aditi. What is this art form all about? Bringing transformation, creating transformation, impacting lives. So go on, Aditi. That's the topic.
Absolutely. So, I'm going to possibly, I think it's a cliche, but I'm going to start with that any which way.
Yeah.
I think we've expressed ourselves using art even before we could speak.
Yeah.
Art is able to help us unlock our expression and communication where words sometimes fall short. Sometimes if something is impacting me emotionally to an extent that I've blocked myself,
Yeah.
or I've blocked how I communicate about it, and no matter how somebody tries to ask me, I'm just not able to talk about it. So the simplest thing, I don't know if I should be saying simplest, but one of the things that we can do is, so if you're unable to share with me how the situation is right now for you, what you feel about it, or how you're impacted about it, or by it, I'm sorry, I would give my client a couple of crayons or pencils or whatever medium of color they prefer, and a simple A4 sheet. So we're not here to become Picassos or Van Goghs,
Right.
Art doesn't really sit like that. Yeah.
Correct.
Of course, it can be used like that as well. However, again, client to client, right? But to be able to unblock somebody's communication block, I would give, so for example, if you come to me, Manish, I would give you a box of crayons, not just 3 crayons. And I would tell you, okay, if you're not able to describe this for me, why don't you just, maybe draw a box,
Okay.
okay, and color that box however you might want to. Use whatever colors that you want when you think about the situation. Yeah. And once you're done, we talk about what that really signifies. What does that mean? What does this show? You could be drawing stick figures. You could be drawing or visualizing a scene, but that's not necessary, right? Because when it comes to art, sometimes we have a roadblock or a mind block that I'm not an artist, so how will art really play out here? But it could be something as simple as that. Yeah. And, without going into too much technicality here, Manish, I'd also want to share that one, I think art helps us delve into honesty. Sometimes we try and use the most correct words
Hmm.
because we think that that's what the other person wants to hear. But with art, when I think about a situation, when I go into that emotion, then I'm, more likely to delve into honesty, right? It helps us see, think, visualize, and then go into that space. So like I was saying, without really going too technical, I talk about, when we study coaching, we talk about the brain, we talk about the brain functions, we talk about the reptilian brain, which is to do with my reaction in situations, my survival instinct. Yeah, it's also called the survival brain. We talk about the emotional brain, which is obviously connected with emotions. It's also connected with expression, right?
Right.
And we also talk about the visual part of the brain, which is the cerebral cortex.
Right.
And in terms of development, it's probably, had the least amount of time to develop. But it occupies a major part of the brain,
Right.
right? And, it works on visualization. It works on complete system thinking. So it's not zoned in on, one faculty or facility. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
And as human beings, I think we tend to be ruled by our emotions.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Most of the times.
Yes.
And if we are able to tap into the visualization function of our brain, I think, which is to do with art,
Hmm.
then we can realize our true potential, based on the visual maps that we have. Something as simple as, if I'm struggling with a situation, okay, and
Yeah.
I ask you to visualize what would an improved situation look like.
Hmm. Okay.
So coaching has elements of art, it has elements of neuro-linguistic programming, so on and so forth. There are many more things. Very recently, I think transactional analysis, which is a theory by Eric Berne, that's also now beginning to be used quite a lot in coaching, right?
Hmm.
But using art, we can express ourselves where words are falling short.
Yeah.
It could be, like I said, a very simple coloring of a box
Hmm.
or a depiction of the situation, right? We can recenter and reflect on what is really going on. Yeah. Change is difficult. Self-awareness is very difficult.
Hmm.
Yeah. And recognizing the impact of external factors, that's also very difficult.
Analytics
But
survey.
art hugely helps
Social
with that.
transactions are analyzed to determine the egoistically.
Sorry, there was some disturbance. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah.
Go on.
So, yeah, in fact, towards the end of the session, I do intend to have an activity that we can all do. We can take away with ourselves.
Yeah.
It'll be very brief. In reality, it's quite detailed, and it takes a lot of time for us to actually thrash through the entire process. But at least I can give a teaser of what it's like, right? Yeah.
So what are the other forms of art? You are a storyteller too, right? So
Yes.
have you ever used storytelling as the art form while coaching someone?
Mhm. So storytelling in terms of, so coaching doesn't really plant ideas in your head, in the sense that it doesn't tell you what to do. It
Mhm.
helps you discover what you're the most committed to doing. But
Okay.
I would, of course, if let me go into a specific example. So there was this leader again that I was coaching that had always been, an individual contributor
Right.
and had never really led a team, even though their career spanned decades and decades.
Mhm.
So one visualization technique or one storytelling technique that I did talk about in that session was, I spoke about a manager that I had, and how he would go about dealing with teams, right? Or how our entire journey had been with that particular manager, and how that had helped us as a team, right? And of course, I did tell her that this is not that you need to start copying what I'm sharing with you,
Yeah.
but when you see yourself leading a team, what kind of a leader do you want to be? So,
Mm-hmm.
so that was one step in that whole conversation, which I'm very happy, to share. Ended with literally a light bulb moment, where the person realized,
Realize it.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's just one example of using an anecdote or a
And,
story.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, in fact,
And you can,
yeah. Go on. You were saying something.
and you can of course, use examples of really famous people as well. So for example, a story that I was reading about Thomas Edison,
Yeah.
and I think it really talks about beliefs in a lot of ways. It talks about delusion. It talks about keeping it real. Where Thomas Edison, when he was very young, came back home one day, and he was very worried, and he handed a note to his mother, and he said, "You know what? My teacher's given this," and she said that I should only share it with you, and I shouldn't open it myself. So his mother opened it and started reading it, and soon enough there were tears rolling down her cheeks, and and he asked her out of concern. He said, "What's wrong? What does it say?"
Yep.
So his mother smiled and said that the note says that your boy is a genius. This school is too small for him. The teachers are not at a level where they can really take him forward. So please, I think you'd be doing everyone a great favor by teaching him at home and realizing his potential. And many years later, when he had become a famous inventor, his mother passed away, and he was sorting through the family things. And he came across an old note in one of the drawers of, like a study table. He picked out that note, and the note was the one that he had handed to his mother. And the note said, "Your boy is addled. That means he's not bright enough. He's challenged. He doesn't understand. He's confused. We will not be able to, take him forward in the school, right?" And as I read the story, Manish, it really left me thinking about, like I said, beliefs. How belief can drive you, how it can color your perception, how it can color your reality.
Absolutely.
Yet not, like we were talking about opinions, not allowing that to make you delusional. Sometimes we say, "Oh, because I know this person, there can't be anything wrong in them."
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But to recognize somebody's potential and not to allow another opinion or an inability of someone
Mhm.
to address that genius, to not allow that to, sort of limit his growth, if I
Right.
may.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So I think that's the power of stories, and that's how one can use it
Correct.
to share thoughts.
No, I think it is the right using the story in the right form to motivate someone is something that one should be thinking about, as parents, as leaders as well.
Yeah.
When you are handling your team also, I think this is
Yeah.
you said that then you also mentioned that don't copy what I say, but as leaders, bring in your own thoughts, bring in your own ideas, try and implement, execute it within your team, and see the results. And you should again be adaptable to change. That if something is not working, don't get disheartened, right? Change it, think about it, brainstorm it, and then change it for both of you, as leader and as team, and for the organization. It impacts both the things. Even
Yeah.
when you are working professionally and doing brainstorming like this, I have seen it personally. This is my real life example, that when you do something like that in the office space, in the professional space, there are certain things that you carry back home, right? It affects and impacts your personal life as well. You change, you change for better. So that's good. But okay, you mentioned initially that you give crayons to someone. You mentioned me that, Manish, I'll give you some crayons and I'll ask you to draw a box. Have you heard about people with two left feet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't dance, right?
Yeah.
They can't dance, right? Have you heard about people with two left hand? I am the one. I am the one. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so like I said, we're not here to become Picassos or Van Goghs, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I completely understand this.
Yeah.
But again, Manish, do you want to think about that? Is that a limiting belief that you carry about yourself?
No, no, it is not a limiting belief. I have tried it. I have not been
Yeah.
able to
Okay.
draw. I am definitely not good at drawing. I mean, I
Hmm.
can't draw. Seriously. But I have
Can you
tried it.
color?
Sorry?
Can you color? Can you color?
My favorite color?
Can you color?
Can you
No,
color?
no.
Yes,
Can you color?
I can. Yes, yes, I can. Of course I
That's
can.
it. Yeah. And and art techniques are not just limited to colors.
Correct. No, no, I just
That's one
picked up that
aspect of
example.
it
Yes.
again.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, two left hands, don't worry. Whatever you're comfortable with. So
Yeah.
if you're not comfortable with art or expressing yourself through that, that's fine,
Okay.
right? As a coach, it is my job to find an
Correct.
alternative to that.
Absolutely.
And it's also my job not to shove it down your throat saying, no,
Yeah.
no, I'm a transformational,
Correct.
art therapy coach. So we are only going to work with art. That
Correct.
doesn't work.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
I think that is the whole reason I brought this up also, giving my own example that to understand that how would someone with such belief or maybe inability to draw would cope with the coaching session with you or with someone else who's using art as a form, right? So that was the whole idea of
So,
it.
art is a part of the journey.
Yeah,
It's not the entire journey. Okay.
correct,
And like I said, it will present itself in various forms.
right.
It could just be, when you're sitting in a boring meeting at work,
Hmm.
okay, we automatically start doodling.
Correct.
We start creating characters, or even if it is a simple circle, or whatever have you, some
Correct.
sort of drawing starts to happen for most of us. I'm not saying all of us.
Yeah.
And art and coaching, like I said, doesn't mean that we're becoming the next Ravi Verma. It is capitalizing on that power of visualization.
Correct.
Yeah. And when we see something physically, so a lot of light bulb moments happen at that point in time as well. Because when we're thinking, sometimes we put that under the imaginary carpet that we have. We sometimes put things under that carpet as well. Yeah. So whether it's writing, whether it's creating a journal, whether it is using a mandala at the end of a day that you've had, if you're somebody that's struggling with emotions, or you feel that every day is a bad day at work, to get things in perspective, let's do a mandala at the end of the day and see how my day really went. Yeah. And again, I'm not going to tell you red is for happy and orange or black is for sad. Yeah. You can associate whatever color you want with whatever emotion, and then over a period of days, let's start to recognize, were all days really as bad as I felt they were? Yeah. Of course, it's not just coloring a mandala. There's more to it. When you sit and use that technique, there is more to it. But again, like I said, that visualization will help us achieve the goal, to see the goal as well, to understand, recognize potential, and bring about the change that we're actually wanting to.
Right.
Yeah. So linking colors, images to emotions as well. It'll help us reflect, it'll help us visualize, and it'll also help us create art, will help us create affirmations. It'll help us overcome limiting beliefs with those affirmations. Now, those affirmations can be words, but
Correct.
it can also be, using color, whether it means using a colored pen, whether it means, drawing figures around that, drawing an image around that, and supplementing that with an affirmation that I have. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. True. Absolutely. I get this. So,
Yeah.
to the audience now, any question on this now? I mean, are you clear what she mentioned about art? Is there anything more that you are thinking about? You can straight away ask to Aditi. Anyone? Yogita?
Aditi, hi, Samir
Yes.
here.
Hi, yes,
Hi.
Samir, please.
Hi, Manish.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for organizing this. This is very, very insightful.
Thank you.
Aditi, I think it's an amazing dimension to what possibly we could do with such a simple technique. And I really liked what you said about capitalizing on visualization.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you that we may not be Ravi Varmas or Picassos, but we're
Yeah.
all able to visualize, which is
Yeah.
a great thing. Right?
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
If the timing of the question is not right, perhaps you could park it and answer it later.
All right.
Has this something like this been used for a fairly senior amount at a very senior leadership level? So you're looking at somebody who manages like I don't know, maybe like a $25-30 million profile, with a fair amount of gray hair, 25 plus years experience. So I'm just sort of trying to, because I color my hair to hide my grays. I'm not bold enough like you, Adi. And when I sit across a gentleman or a lady, I usually find it anyway difficult to, because possibly of the age gap and experience gap. But I'm just a little apprehensive in testing this. So perhaps you could guide me if it's been used, and if maybe a couple of tips around how do you sort of position this. I just want to make sure the optics are right.
So I completely understand, thank you, Sameer, for that question. Completely understand the hesitation that we're talking about, whether it's in oneself or another person, especially the more senior a leader. Yeah. The more we sometimes perceive, or they have a mental block. So they also might be thinking, two left hands, I can't do this, or what is, this is absolutely ridiculous. How is this going to help? So one, I'd say, position it once you and the client are very comfortable, you have a rapport going with them, and it can be a grad introduce. Maybe the color technique might not work. I have used it with a leader, because like I was sharing, there was a complete block in terms of sharing verbally what the situation really was and how it was impacting them. Yeah. I think space of silence works wonders. Introducing it when you have a great rapport going, using a technique, and I've just shared one or two, but you could create your own, right? Somebody might not be very comfortable coloring in mandalas. Yeah. However, that has worked very well for a client of mine who is a leader with a couple of decades of experience, where they found it to be helpful in getting them in a more focused mind space. Yeah. Not just in the morning when you're starting work, but also at the end of the day, to just reflect on what's been going on. And like Manish said, that sometimes when we get a lot of opinions thrown at us, we tend to carry it back home, right? And then it begins to impact everybody around us. So for us to be able to avoid that, to beat that stress that everybody has in their everyday work life, I think that could be a great exercise. However, if let's say, Sameer, you're my client and you're not open to it, I wouldn't push it, right? So again, keep testing waters as you go. Would your client be open to it or not? Does the situation even warrant it? And like I was sharing that, in fact, let's do this activity right now. So I think it clarifies that, when we're talking about using art, it's not just the use of color.
Yeah.
It is the visualization of a particular situation or a belief, right? For that matter, Sameer, even the wheel of life that we use at the beginning of a coaching session, where we're looking at various aspects of one's life, whether it's financial, career, relationships, education, whatever have you. Yeah. And we start listing down things, and we start assessing how happy or unhappy are we with that particular piece of our life pizza, if I may. Yeah, that also is the technique of art, using art, right? So like I was saying, Manish, is it possible that I share my screen and then we can all look at?
Just a second. Give me a second. I'll allow that. Sure.
Sure. Sameer, does that answer your question, even if it does partially?
Yeah. It gives me some direction.
Yeah.
I think what you said, positioning at the right time. So timing is important. important.
Yeah.
Having a certain amount of a confidence interval before we do this with them is important. And third, my third takeaway is refine as we go and check for comfort.
Absolutely. And to have that confidence within our own heads and hearts, right?
True, that is very important.
Because
Yes.
if I don't believe the technique, my client is definitely going to turn around. Or if I'm stopping myself by, allowing fear to take over, that, it's a senior client, and I completely understand that. Yeah, we've all been through that. In fact, one of my coaching conversations, I was thinking, the gentleman was so senior. I was thinking to myself, he's not going to find a takeaway in this conversation. But that entire journey was so transformational and so unexpected, that it just took me by surprise and just reiterated the fact that, going into a situation, let's not limit ourselves in any which way.
No, in fact, Aditi, when you mentioned about a very senior leader, and you had a notion about him that he may not have any takeaways, but what I see from here is that when you coach someone and trying to create a transformation in them, your own transformation also happens at that time, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You also gain so much out of it. There are certain things which every day, absolutely, yes, absolutely, I fully agree.
Every experience gives you something new. Every client teaches you something new.
Absolutely.
It could be just as life is, what you should or what you shouldn't do. You learn from it. Even if you fall down, you get back right up. You learn from it. You move on, and hope to take that learning and implement it in future conversations. Absolutely.
Thank you, Samir. Thanks for the question. And Aditi, just check if you can share the screen. But before that,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Samir. But before that, there is a lot of discussion happening around mandala. Okay, Aparajita, you want to ask the question to Aditi because she answered.
Oh yes, Manish.
Yeah,
Hi.
please. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, Aditi. Really nice. I mean, initially, I wasn't even trying to figure out what you were actually talking about.
Okay.
But then, slowly, slowly, I really got a hang of what you're talking about. So very interesting. Glad to know that you've been building over this. Very nice. So, I was just thinking, I mean, what is that like? Actually, how does it bring concentration? Like you say mandala or you say doodle. How is that connected to the brain? Like, maybe even a line would, just a thought.
Okay. So I think mandalas, or even when you're doodling or sketching something, you're just so zoned into doing what you're doing that it helps you to block out all the other thoughts that might be dancing on in your brain. Yeah. And if you begin to think about that one situation, or even if you think about your entire day and you think about how you felt through situations that kept taking place, whether it was a conversation or it was, a discussion, an email, whatever have you, right? And if you start thinking about that and you start picking up colors, I think I've seen people who, even when you speak something to them, when they're coloring a mandala, they don't hear what you're saying. Yeah. So it helps you zone in your focus, and therefore it becomes very, I think, like Avani also said, it becomes very meditative. Yeah.
It does for sure.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we can create our own mandalas. So one is, what comes in books and we download and so on and so forth. But remember when we started learning geometry and we draw a big circle and then like intersecting lines, so it becomes a flower, like a flower. So it could be a simple mandala like that. It could be an image mandala as well. Now that's a separate conversation as well. But it could be really simple. It doesn't have to be complex.
Right.
Hi Aditi, I have a question here. This is Shanti this side. So coming to the fact of doodle, so I have caught myself doodling a lot of times in very tense situations in meetings, or maybe I'm just trying to, figure something out and I subconsciously go ahead and doodle.
Right.
So yes, like you said, it does make you feel a lot better and release a lot of emotions. But what I'm trying to understand is, how do you, if I were to look at it from a point of view of learning, right? If I were to translate it into learning for myself or for anyone else, how do I go about it?
How to use doodling as a tool for learning?
So if I were to start with myself and I see myself doodling in certain situations, so obviously first thing I do end up feeling a lot better, right? And then if I were to pick up something from that doodling that I could use on myself, how do I translate that?
So if I were to give you a very simple example, are you familiar with mind maps?
Not really, actually.
Okay,
Not
so
that
that
much.
is, I'd recommend that you read up a little bit about mind maps.
Sure.
And it's essentially, a lot of times presenters also use it. When you don't want to write lengthy notes and you don't want to be reading speeches, I'm just giving you a very basic example. I think of the topic, I could draw a circle, write the topic down, and draw a couple of branches that lead me to subtopics.
Right.
Then, like more branches. Now I could use words on these branches, or I could use an image that I identify with. So I think that for me is a very constructive use of, doodling, and a learning based approach to doodling as well.
Okay, so if I were to, sorry, I'm just trying to understand this a
That's
little
fine.
more. So let's say, for example, I'm in a tense situation. I'm just talking about myself, and I subconsciously start doodling, and I end up drawing lines and maybe the sun and moon and everything else. And then if I were to what do I say, debrief that to myself and decipher that what does it translate for me? Where and I know this needs a lot of work and a lot of studies. I totally understand that. But as in, how do I actually, what do I take away from that doodle of my mind?
So I think it's very situation driven as well, and I'd recommend that when you have a doodle which has allowed you to de-stress or has taken away negative emotions that have been playing in your head when you were thinking of that situation, you can just sort of look at it like it's either somebody else's drawing, or ask yourself, what was I thinking when I was doing this? Sometimes we draw over and over again, line after line repeatedly, and we make it a much darker line. So what was I thinking about it? But if I've drawn dark lines, but I've also drawn the sun, what does that signify? Because the sun really has no place in this situation, which is bothering me so much. So it's a couple of questions that we ask ourselves to reflect on what was going on in my mind. And we can take it further and say, okay, what is it that I want to do about this? Maybe the sun in a way is telling me something. So considering it's a hypothetical situation, I'm trying to explain it as best as I can. But
yeah, that's insightful, Aditi. Actually, I was just trying to figure out, how do you translate that into learning if I were to apply it on myself or anyone else?
Sure. And it's also like a release of emotions. I think sometimes when it's a terribly boring meeting, or it's a terribly stressful meeting, I'm just trying to escape that stress by drawing something. It could be a caricature of the person as well sometimes. I'm not saying do it, but I'm saying, sometimes we end up doing
it. Subconsciously, I think we've done it so many times we haven't realized, but yeah, that's quite insightful. Thanks, Aditi.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
No, but whosoever has drawn a caricature of the boss is not going to disclose this for sure.
Again, depends on your rapport.
That stays with you only.
For all you know, the boss has drawn a caricature of you.
Okay, so you want to before we wrap up this session, we are ahead of time already. Okay, so you want to share something on the screen you wanted to?
Yes, I'll just, in that case, because we don't have enough time, but one of the ways in which, do you see the presentation, or what do you see right?
It's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like we were talking at the beginning of the session, we were talking about limiting beliefs, things that could hold us back,
Correct.
Which is why I would want to go and have a conversation with the coach, because I think I've had enough internal conversations. It's not getting me anywhere. And sometimes when you're in the middle of a situation, you're not able to think of solutions for yourself, the best. And maybe you just need a little bit of facilitating your brain to think of solutions that work best for you. So if you look at this table, if you look at this table, you see, and if you guys have a pen and paper handy, you can draw a line. Doesn't have to be an elaborate table. Above the line, you can write a belief and really think about this. Okay, write a belief that is not helpful. It's holding you back from achieving something in your life.
Okay.
Now, the purpose of this activity is not to say whether the belief is right or wrong. We're not getting into that space.
It's a belief.
It is just to see whether it's a belief that adds to my life or takes away from it.
Correct.
And if it is something that takes away from my life, professionally, personally, then how am I going to get rid of this and create a new belief in its place?
Right.
Okay, so the first thing is identify that belief, right? Then a belief is actually supported, like this table is supported by legs. It is supported by some evidence that you have.
Right.
For example, a limiting belief that could hold me back from even daring to run a business of my own could be that I'm terrible at maths.
Okay.
Therefore, I'm not very logical. Therefore, I will not be able to manage finances of the business. Therefore, I shouldn't get into business at all.
Okay.
And some of the evidence that could be creating this limiting belief could be, I failed in maths in that 1 year in school or college or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made many silly mistakes. It could be, I'm just giving you examples, but it could be something on those lines. And now when we're doing this activity for ourselves, we should ensure that, it at least has three pieces of evidence that support this belief, because 2 pieces of evidence don't really support a table. The table is going to fall down.
Correct.
So we need a minimum of 3. It could be 4, it could be more.
Yeah.
Okay. But really thinking about it honestly. And the great part of, a coaching conversation is when we go to a coach, it's completely confidential.
Correct.
Yeah. What gets discussed there stays there. So you identify what supports this belief. And now if I were to break the legs of the table, then that belief wouldn't be able to stand. So how do I break the legs of this table? I sort of denounce the evidence by thinking of or looking at it from a different perspective. That I failed in that one test. An alternative could be that, my father was in the hospital at that time. Therefore, I wasn't able to be in the right mind frame. Yeah, there's a lot of stress. Or I wasn't well prepared. I didn't study well enough. Yeah. My father's great at maths. So definitely it's not a hereditary thing, right?
Yeah.
Or let's say my whole family thinks they're bad at math. So it can't be hereditary, because a friend of mine who's excellent at math has somebody who's not so great in their family. So it can't be hereditary, right? Now, how do I change this limiting belief that I have? I create, like I said, a new belief in its place. Okay. And I supplement that belief with new evidence.
Right.
Now, it looks very simple, sounds fairly simple, but it's a process again.
Correct.
In the journey, there will also be times that I, keep going back to this limiting belief that I have.
Absolutely. Aditi, your volume was not there for the last 3-4 seconds.
Okay.
No, it's okay now.
Is that,
it's there, but whatever you said, please repeat, I guess.
Okay.
Last 3-4 seconds. Yes, last 3-4 seconds.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm saying that form a new belief in place of this limiting belief.
Correct.
Supplement that with evidence right? I just need to try harder. I need to study harder, right? Or so on and so forth. And yeah, when we feel that we're going to slide back to our old limiting belief, right? That's where this activity comes in handy. Art comes in handy because I've drawn it, I've written it. Yeah. It could also just be, let's say, Manish, I draw this table on a whiteboard. I draw the legs and I write down the evidence that supports it.
Right.
Just that action of taking a whiteboard duster and wiping off these table legs one by one. That's a very, very powerful situation to be in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
So just wanted to introduce this. We haven't gone into it in detail because I think our discussion has been so extensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop screen share now.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
No, that was wonderful. I guess everyone would have tried their hands on this exercise, and if not, you can at least try this. Yogita, you want to say something? Please, you've raised your hand.
Surprisingly, I have not raised my hand, but then I wanted to say something.
Yeah.
Like today morning, I was in a conversation. It was not a meeting, but then in a conversation, and I drew a house. Normally, I do that, but then I see it right now. I see that there are the corners. All the corners of the house are really thick. And the pathway which I had made, it looks like it is ready to walk. So it is such a powerful this thing. So and and this was really a meaningful interaction, Manish and Aditi. And I am an artist. I'm a playback theater performer, and this brings me closer to my belief that art and the processing with it really helps to the core.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yogita. Thanks for that. Okay, great. That was wonderful interaction, Aditi. Before we go, I have one last question for you. Okay. It is very quickly you can answer this. Delving into someone's inner psyche is an art in itself. So what in your opinion is the need of such coaching in an organization?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say coaching benefits individuals, it benefits teams, it benefits organizations, therefore, at all levels. Because what coaching brings to the table is clarity. It brings about confidence. It brings about, clarity in terms of goals, a deeper understanding of my own self as an individual in a team or in an organization, and how I, sort of link to it. Right. Of what are the underlying dynamics. It brings about awareness of my own blind spots. Correct. It's a path to transformation. So, what it leads to is enhanced work performance. It leads to better communication. It leads to better team dynamics. And this is not something I'm saying. It is something that the International Coach Federation has said in a study. It conducted an extensive survey and published a study of the benefits and the results of coaching. So if there is so much to take away from, coaching conversations and that whole coaching process, then I'd say that all of us will only benefit from having a coach. The world over, Manish, really high potential, high performing individuals have been working with coaches to be able to realize their complete potential. So why not, corporate organizations and individuals?
I think corporate organizations should also take this initiative of bringing in the potential, or maybe identifying the potential in their employees. At least start from their senior leadership management teams and all that, to bring about a change. Because I always believe, whenever I have discussions with any of the speakers around the organizational purview, it is mostly top down approach. you start with the top and then bring a change in the bottom line of your organization. Okay, so I think organizations should take an initiative on this coaching.
And I think there are a fair few now that have really started working with coaches, because the benefits have been so immense and all encompassing. Yeah. So
Right.
at various levels, organizations are now beginning to work with coaches for their teams and for their employees.
Right. Okay. So there is one more one question which JP sir is asking. Somebody mentioned music, and Deepa has mentioned that yes, I mentioned. Deepa Suresh is also there as one of the audience here. So she mentioned that yes, I mentioned music. I use Jembase, and I also use call and response activities. So Deepa, why don't you share this with us and answer JP sir's question as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you for allowing me this time. Sorry for taking away your time, Aditi.
Not at
But
all.
anyway, I'll just make it as short as possible. So I mentioned djembe specifically. Djembe is an African drum.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
what I do is I use it in a, I arrange the participants in a circle, and then I ask somebody to go first, and then the other person follows. So then what happens is the who's starting the music becomes a kind of a leader, and then the rest of them follow. So what happens is there's a lot of focus and concentration going on, and because you need to follow the rhythm, right? And then I also add in a few words. For example, somebody might say apple, and then the other person might say something, or maybe I would probably use something which is related to the organization, the needs of the training. So
Correct.
I would probably use those words, and then I would make a kind of a musical circle going. So that's how I use this.
Wonderful.
I made it as brief as possible. I don't know if you all understood.
No, that's okay.
So-
That's okay. Thank you so much, Deepa, on that. JP sir, I hope Deepa has answered the question. Yeah, thank you so much. So great conversation, great participation, wonderful interaction. Maza aaya. I hope you guys also enjoyed it. So before we wrap up this session, I just want to make an announcement, a very short announcement. Next Tuesday, we are not going to conduct any session. Okay, but on 6th of March, 6th and 7th of March, we are organizing a TNW summit, okay, which is to engage, integrate, and exchange. So there will be a lot of speakers there, and my co-host is sharing a screen. This is the screen on the website, which you can see. So this is the summit which is happening on March 6th and 7th. You can visit this, and I would really appreciate that if you come and join this TNW summit with us. That would be very, very great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Pallavi. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very good to see you here too.
Yeah, thank you, Pallavi. You can just switch off the screen. Thank you so much, everyone. So I hope you liked the session. Any questions that you want to ask Aditi, you can just let me know, and I can ask Aditi to answer those questions for you all, and we'll get back to you on this. Thank you so much. Thanks, Aditi, for your time, and everyone else for sparing your time with us. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Have a great day ahead, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.